Hi guys. Thank you to the Quantic team for giving us an opportunity to be here and express our views. Feels great to be here with this very elite panel, experienced, knowledgeable, and it's great to be a part of this panel because we all come from diverse industries. We come from industries having different scopes, different products, and different kind of consumer persona. So definitely a wonderful opportunity for all of us to understand views from this diverse panel that we have and take with us great knowledge about the kind of experience, the kind of customer service that our customers expect and what we intend to deliver today and going forward. So to kickstart the discussion, the first question is about the simplest piece of tech that made a very big impact on our customers and probably Ramita and Neel, if you can take this question one by one. Ramita comes from the airline industry, which is, so to say, far more evolved. And Neel comes from PayNearby, where they are trying to penetrate the nook and corner of the country. We all know India is a diverse country. Maybe the metropolitan, the tier 2, the tier 3 has different consumer personas and how they adopt and how they behave to the digital kind of a platform. So let's hear it from Ramita and then from Neel.
Sure, thank you. So I'm going to cite you an example of what I've done, say about 10 years ago in VFS Global. Very, very small example this is. Specifically, we were looking at the effort that the customer puts in to give us feedback. And when brands are looking at collecting customers' feedback, we rarely think of the effort that the customer has to put through to give you that input. So a very small change that we brought in was not after the end of their entire experience. Exactly at the platform that they were in, we would seek feedback. And I remember making this change on the website itself, where we said, when you are hovering through, we will seek feedback from you, also ask you what you're looking for, and ease that journey. And I'm not kidding. So when we launched it, even I did not even think that the base will jump up so much. The next day, 60% of customers actually gave us feedback on the website, which otherwise, if you seek for feedback on website experience, you would get barely 2 to 4%, jumping up to 60. And I also have to contribute to the factor that which was the region which had adopted this. All of the US, all of the Europe, all of the Australia was specifically looking at a page which was digital, self-service, far more easier for them. And that evolution really was something that I did see like a remarkable shift for us. So that's what I would bring in here. Thank you.
Amazing, impressive. So that's what we mean when we say small tweaks can make big wins. Definitely, that's a good example of that. Neel, if you can share your experience.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me for this great event. So I've been with PayNearby for the last 5 years. Before I explain, so I'll explain what PayNearby is. PayNearby is a distribution as a service platform. It is a B2B2C platform where we provide financial and digital services to our retail network partners across 20,000 PIN codes across India, mostly in tier 4, tier 5 cities, in semi-urban or to the nooks and corners of the rural areas in India. Imagine a small village where there's only one grocery store and the customers in that village or the inhabitants of the village are not really tech savvy or bank savvy. They may have a bank account because they may be getting some DBT entries over there, but they don't know how to, or they don't have a bank account, bank is just nearby. So these customers go to their local grocery store because they trust, they put their fingerprint in and money comes out. The grocery store guy gives him the cash. We don't do transaction like that, but that's how approximately in PayNearby itself, around 100 crores of business is done in a day. 100 crores worth of withdrawals are done by these customers across India every day. And we are approximately only 11 or 12% of the entire market. So you can imagine how much are Indian customers reliant on these services. Right from, just imagine a laborer who is working in Mumbai, wants to transfer money back into his hometown, comes with cash to their local recharge shop, gives him money, and then the money goes into the bank account of his family. So that's how powerful these services are. But with that, it shows the kind of customers we deal with. Customers are not tech savvy. Our retailers are not tech savvy. They are using the platform because they have to, because it serves their purpose. But they are not really adapting to a technology which is very, very, like they don't want to use technology for everything. For example, if they face a problem, they do not want to raise a complaint on the app. They don't want to talk to anyone, but they want to talk to their sales manager because the sales manager has onboarded them. They have a relationship with the sales manager. They know the person, their sales managers come to them. So they have a habit of, whenever they face any issues in the transaction, they take a screenshot and they should send it to the sales managers. Now, this created a big problem for us because our sales managers their majority of the time was getting spent in handling these customer queries rather than acquiring businesses or increasing their network. To solve this, we had a very simple idea. Why not accept the behavior of my customer? When my retailers who have continuous inflow of customers throughout the day don't have time to contact customer support, they rather just take a screenshot and send it to their sales manager to solve it. Like, ye dekho, mera problem ye hai. And then the sales manager's responsibility to solve it for them. So why not take that intent and solve it in the app itself? So whenever a retailer would then, when he faced a problem in a transaction, would take a screenshot, we would, at the back end, take all the details of what screen he's actually trying to complain about, maybe transaction, etc., etc., and then give him a small complaint option right then and there. What that did was, when he clicked on complaint, we told him his complaint is registered, no details to be taken because that's how it worked for him anyways. He was just sending the screenshot to the sales manager. That screenshot taken, we registered the complaint. Now there's assurance for the retailer that a complaint is taken. He doesn't have to go to the sales manager anymore. And that solved around 70% of the sales complaints that were going to sales managers, which freed up their time and helped us get the complaints in the right flow. So that simple tech change where we use their behavior of taking screenshot and sending it to sales manager, use it to raise complaints and helped manage complaints faster.
That's great. I mean, small piece of innovation and it reaches the nook and corner of the country. On similar lines, I would want to raise this question to Mahendra and Ram as well, because Mahendra comes from a banking industry, similar challenge, consumers across the board, across the nook and corner of the country, different behavioral patterns. So on those lines, would you want to talk about a small piece of tech that would have changed?
I think thanks for being on this panel. So I think it's good to share a personal example, right? I think all of us sitting in this room, we have a bank account, whether it's A bank or B bank, doesn't matter. I think if we go back just 20 years, right, our parents would have also had a bank account, most likely with SBI or one of the PSUs, right? How the bank account used to open at that point of time. No matter how much money you have, how much reputation you have, the person, once you go into a bank branch, first of all, there were no digital journeys. They would say, sir, please get 2 references. Without 2 references, no matter who you are, the bank account is not going to get open. So that was one thing. Cut across today, anybody, anywhere you're sitting in India, any corner of India, all you need is an Aadhaar card, a PAN card, and you do a video KYC. in under 5 minutes, you can open any number of bank accounts sitting in your home, in your office, or any part of India, any corner of India. I think this is real digital transformation. Just look at how this can shift economy at scale, and this is how things can go to scale where you need to physically visit inside a branch of a bank, have two references, have a kind of a set of documents ready, right? Your ration card. Those days there was no Aadhaar card, right? So you need a ration card, you need a proof of address, that to an electricity bill, right? So on and so forth. Similar example, if a relatable example, I think it's Digi Yatra, given Ramita is sitting next to me. The frictionless, what has Digi Yatra done? It has completely removed the friction in the entire process. You don't need to have anything. You upload your boarding pass to the Digi Yatra app, and it's a straight through process. So I think this is the power of digital transformation. And given that I'm part of Unity Small Finance Bank, and I'm pretty sure people out here understand, 2013, 2014, RBI came up with small finance bank concept. So what's difference between a bank, a universal bank, and a small finance bank? We are supposed to serve underserved and unserved, right? Tier 3, Tier 4. As you know, microfinance as an industry, which actually was pioneered in Bangladesh, and the gentleman got a Nobel Award as well in terms of what he did with joint liability group loan. One of the biggest change we were able to do with the help of technology is, in a microfinance sector, you have women, women who are maids at different places, or who have small tiffin kind of a service. They have tiffin service, or they have very, very small work. They take a joint loan, 5 women, 7, 10 women. The biggest problem we had, the ground staff, they are not able to, once they collect the amount from these women customers, they are not depositing that money on time with the bank account, which is impacting these women customers. Today we have a one-click payment for them through WhatsApp. They're able to make that payment in a single click, right? There is no dependency on the field team. There is no dependency on anybody else, right? This small change where a customer is able to make a payment in less than 5 seconds, this has dramatically helped that particular customer to make on-time payment and get more and more loans, so on and so forth. Similarly, in terms of our metro customers, today, our entire personal loan journey is digitized, where under 5 minutes, if you have the right CIBIL score and there are no defaults in the past, you can get a loan amount dispersed in your choice of bank account in under 5 minutes. I think these are the journeys using different platforms. WhatsApp being one I definitely have to call out, which has really helped brands and banks, and of course, not just banking as an industry, but different industry, where we are able to service the customer at a place of his choice, at a platform his or her choice, and a time and day of his choice. I think this is where we feel the strongest transformation, where we are able to deliver the right service to the customer at the choice and time, which the customer prefers. So I'll keep that brief.
Thanks, Mahendra, for sharing your experience and that small piece of tech that has changed the lives of many women entrepreneurs in the smaller parts of the country. Ram, your views?
Yeah, so I think my answer is more or less similar to what Mahendra spoke, for the fact that the wealth management business that we are in is almost like a bank, just that we cannot accept deposits, right? So that's the only difference I see right now. And when we talk about a small change, for me, it comes from what the customer wants, and are we giving him that? I mean, we've done a lot of changes, we brought in a lot of digitization, but is that the change that customer really wanted? And that's how I would define a small change. And let me take back, when you look at the entire wealth management industry, most of them were broking-led at some point of time. They had a broking and a trading account, and eventually they became wealth managers. So a lot of customers who come to us predominantly feel that, I mean, rather when we started our way of acquiring more and more customers, they already had a broking or a trading relationship with somebody else. But they wanted to buy wealth products from us. Now, which meant that it was not necessary for that particular person to again open a trading and demat account with us and then buy a wealth product. You're actually complicating their journey, right? And when I say what is the smallest fix was that I don't want you to go through that hassle. I give you an investment account. You can see all your investment products with me. You don't need to go through the entire journey of, like I say, bringing those 10, 15 documents. We digitize the entire journey using Aadhaar and similar like what you had spoken about. But it is bringing in that wow experience for a customer. I do not have to open 2 trading accounts, 2 demat accounts with somebody else, but I can continue keeping what I have with somebody and I can take your services as well. So I think that's what I feel is that small change, but made a big difference.
So great to hear views about that small piece of tech that would have changed customers' life or the way they interact. Sunny, would like to understand from you one digital feature that customers would have used in an unexpected way. It could be positive, could be negative. Maybe you want to talk about that.
Hi, thank you for having me here. So we have this, so just for context, I run a, omni-channel AI platform, Chat360, and we have this feature called campaign personalization, where typically brands send outbound campaigns and can personalize, etc. So one of our clients, one of the top 5 retail phone brands of India, they wanted to send customers to their branches, to the retail stores. So they wanted to do standard outbound campaigns with an objective that to increase footfalls in their retail stores, right? So as any brand would do, they would typically upload their data, create a schedule, and create a cadence and send out a campaign. And they did that, and they had, it was a WhatsApp campaign, and they saw some decent footfalls, but they realized that like in a specific part in south of India, they did not get that sufficient footfalls. So they they dig deeper into the platform, checked out the analytics, what happened, and they realized that there were a lot of responses which were unfulfilled because they had initiated only a one-way campaign. They saw the responses, and a lot of people were asking for price. A lot of people were asking for certain features related to the product, which they were advertising onto the campaign. And then they sort of realized, okay, why don't we create an A/B testing feature, and which we have on a platform. So they created an A/B testing feature, and they stitched the entire commerce journey within that online on the marketing campaign, right? Where they could give the basic information, and close the deal there on WhatsApp itself. And they ran the experiment, and to their surprise, they found that a lot of customers did not want to visit stores, which was the original objective, and rather just purchased it then and there, which was fulfilled later by a third-party aggregator. So for them, the idea was to read the responses of what people were asking for, or like how Ramita said, feedback, right? So when we typically send out a campaign, we don't see the feedback of those campaigns in detail, So voice of customer, I think, was very important. They capitalized on that and created a end-to-end journey on WhatsApp covering the entire payment journey as well. And they were able to identify and sell a large number of phones right there and then through the marketing campaign. And that was their discovery. Yeah.
Thanks, Sunny. And we all agree that's what tech is all about, right? It's completely changing the way we interact. What we used to do 2 years, 5 years back, we are completely agnostic now, not willing to do that, and we want to do everything from the comfort of our homes. So coming back to Ramita and Ram with a question where we don't talk about big transformations. I don't want to ask you about what big change or overhaul that you did, but can we talk about a small tweak that you would have done in your existing processes and identifying some pain point or some gap, and which brought about an oversized result?
Sure. I'll go first. So I'll come back to the point on customer efforts. So the big change, and whether you call it small or transformational, we've realized is to be able to understand the efforts that the customer puts in, whether it's cognitive, time, or physical effort. And if, as an organization, you're able to measure the efforts, usually what organizations do is they measure the outcome, which is your customer satisfaction or the NPS performance. But the right metric to measure is the effort the customer is putting through. And if that is assessed right, then the entire journey can be super smooth, frictionless, and seamless in every manner. So for me personally, there hasn't been any journey or any initiative as sound or as beneficial as understanding customers' effort and being able to cater to that.
So the way I look at it is that a lot of things are actually lying in front of you, but you don't realize them, you know. So I'll talk about two different examples, and I'm not sure how many will be able to relate this. Typically, when you want to actually bring in your assets from some other organization into, in a wealth management firm, you need to bring in something called as a client master list. It's called a CML. Okay, and we've seen a lot of customers walking into our branches asking us for the CML copy. And we thought, why are they coming in? People were coming in because the other brokers were basically asking for a CML with a signature on it. So basically, they used to take a physical hard copy, come to us, and get a stamp and go back. So what I'm trying to convey across is that a very small transformation change, bringing in a digitized CML on a platform, just enabled customers with a much more better wow experience. One more was we found a lot of customers wanting to transfer their assets from somebody else to us. Okay, and one of the things is also spotting what are others offering, which we can adopt. So there's, I'm sure most of you know there's NSDL and CDSL. These are two depositories. And they have offered services to movement of assets from one particular broker, so one particular wealth management to another wealth management, of one broker to the other broker. Now it's spotting that it is already available there. Now you bring in the necessary API keys to ensure that the transfer happens very easily. So you talk to that particular interface, get the assets, and move it to you. So very small fixes. It's lying in front of you. All that you need to do is spot it and take it on.
Well said. Well said. Truly, can't agree more to the fact that there are many such opportunities that lie in front of us, and it's only about stitching those journeys where you fix those small gaps and bring about a wow element. So we've spoken about small pieces of tech that worked, or digital features. We've spoken about small process changes that have helped delivering great results. But when we do all of this, we also see failures. Failure is a part and parcel of tech, inevitably a part and parcel of the tech developments that we do, and where we intend to reach. So let's talk about some failures, and which industry, maybe banking and airline, these two industries, since these are the most evolved industries, they would have seen most failures. That's what I am assuming, and therefore, Mahendra and Ramita, if you can take this question and talk about certain tech failures.
I can't disclose anything specific, but I think it's very, very important. And there's a joke in our organization, right? Whenever someone pitches a new product, the question is, ye tere ko chahiye ke tere customer ko chahiye? So, and I think that's a good starting point, right? More often than not, we see certain pocket of leaders or organization, either they are in FOMO. If competition has launched some new AI tool or some new fancy shining tool, doesn't mean your customer wants it, number one. Number two, let's understand specifically in banking domain and of course it would also apply to other industry. There are different cohorts and segment of customer, right? So we have someone from wealth management industry. He will cater to an HNI client. I'm sure none of the products which his organization has would be applicable to a microfinance customer. My microfinance customer earns anywhere between 15 to 20,000 as of today, right? Nobody from that segment needs wealth management. So again, I hope, right? So the point is, one, it's important to figure out, and most of the time, and the word is tech failure. It's my personal opinion, it's not a tech failure, it's an expectation failure. We set the expectation of the business team. So it's like how a project works, right? There's a tech team, there's a project management team, there's a compliance team. At least in bank, we have a compliance team, and there's a business team. When a project goes live, typical business, if it fails, business says it's a tech failure. You talk to the tech leader, they say, no, it's not a tech failure. We delivered what we were promised. The expectations of business has changed. Now business is like, boss, business is dynamic, right? What was true yesterday is not true anymore. So it's my limited opinion, tech failure, most of the time, it's an expectation mismatch, what you get into. And again, there are some partners also on this thing. At times it's more oversell than anything else. So I think that would be my limited point. There can be a tech failure, which is purely technical in nature, because you did not figure out how much scale do you need. And in the age of hyperscalers and cloud, you don't envisage how much things you have to factor in, and there can be a genuine mistake at some point of time. But more often than not, it's different people who are not aligned to what is expected outcome of the project, which result into some level of disconnect, which is considered as a tech failure.
So I'll pick up something which is very, very fashionable of late, hyper-personalization. So I think probably everybody would have gone through a journey of hyper-personalization and realized the failure points, whether it is through bots or it is the process that we design. So in hyper-personalization, tech part of it, I would say the more important piece is being able to put as much information as possible, right? Let me identify your gender, let me identify what you like, what you ate, what time you woke up, what's your typical routine to walk in the morning, evening. I mean, name it, everything is right there. Now, how do you use all of this information in the most appropriate manner? And sometimes that's the challenge we have. So much of technology comes in, processes which are not designed to support the tech input that's there. Worse, we make it very, very difficult for our employees. So if tech and process was designed to make the life easy for the employee to cater to the customer's requirement, that just goes down south. And I think that's one of the largest failures that I have witnessed and seen while working on various initiatives. And also I think that's one space which is still largely open in the industry. Coming from the point that, one, identify your customer. Please understand what your customer needs. Today they say customer needs hyper-personalization. At the same time, you would hear a lot of studies say that customers' biggest need is time. So if I want to spend the least amount of time, how much of personalization is sufficient is also a good question to ask. Most often, this balance does not happen. So it's very important to understand what's your customer type, who are you catering to, what do you want to cater to as a brand, and really build the processes and people practices. Do not bring in technology which adds 10 manual steps for the staff and makes it more difficult, right? So I think it works at multiple levels that I've seen failures.
I'll just add, if time allows. I think a simple and the powerful example is omni-channel and multi-channel. I think there's a misnomer in the industry that if a brand has a contact center, a website, an app, and a WhatsApp bot, that's omni-channel. I think that's definitely not omni-channel, that's multi-channel. Most of the brand did not had a great success yet, in my opinion, where they're able to stitch the entire orchestration and the journey between channels. So if a customer walks in to a branch, right, or if a customer has initiated a journey on a specific channel, say on your website, and he's not able to get that answer, and if he calls the contact center agent should be able to tell the person, sir, I can see you visited our website, you are able to browse these sections, and I understand you had some issues. How can I help further? Instead of saying, please tell me what's your problem, right? If this can be solved, I think it will really remove the pain, and as Ramita was rightly saying, customer effort. I think by design, Indians are, want to, struggle is part of our life, travel is a struggle. We all stay in Mumbai. By the time we reach office, half of the people are already tired. So I think we Indians somehow love struggle. So I think if brands can work towards truly omni-channel, which is genuinely omni-channel, and the customer can move from one channel to another, and the brand will be able to pick it up where the customer left, I think it will make a very, very compelling, story, for the brand, and make the brand really loved by the customer.
Thank you, Mahendra. Thank you, Ramita, for sharing your views. I would like to put across the same question to Neel, considering the fact that you deal with a very different persona of consumers, which come from different parts of the country, different geographies, different cultures, and different expectations. And like Mahendra said, many a times we go wrong with our expectations, then tech failure. So would want to know your views and experience, if you have had any such experience.
Thank you. So I agree with Ramita and Mahendra what they said. I think we've faced similar failures across the last 4-5 years. We've also, as PayNearby was scaling up, we have had to solve a critical problem of scaling up without increasing costs exponentially. And when we were trying to solve that problem, we made few errors. I think the biggest error I think everyone has made in their life is IVR. I think IVR has been the bane of most companies in terms of, because if you have a large volume of customers calling your support line for support, if you're not scaling up, you cannot sustain that amount of support. And IVR is a very ready-made option that we think that it's a solvable one, which will try and absorb some of the volume of support. And us as well, we try to solve it with IVR, but trying to build a IVR which solves 60-70% of the reason why a customer would complain to us, which means that our IVR was capable of not just giving him the status of his transactions without him having to enter the transaction IDs. It was able to take complaints, give him status of the complaints. It was able to, it was a first gen AI, generative AI bot. It was able to list out his last few transactions, because one retailer normally does around 100 transactions a day. So by some formula, we were able to explain which transaction it is. But what this did was that when we built this extremely expensive IVR, our customers were divided into two sections. One who adapted very quickly, but the adoption was not to use it, but to find a way around it to speak to the agent. So they found menus and sub-menus where they could get to the agents faster. The second set of customers were the ones who got frustrated and dropped off. And when they dropped off, they sometimes attrited. In fact, when we launched this IVR, our attrition percentage for customers who seek support increased rather than decreasing. And that was a very, very harsh reality for us to accept, that it was solved to scale, but it was actually reducing my customer base. So we had to understand that maybe our customer base who are sitting in a village or in a very, very remote area are not still ready to adapt to completely to a bot. Before giving him a warm handoff, there had to be more of a hybrid approach. Maybe the customer's experience had to be a little different. before they start getting ready to have technology introduced to them. We have to adapt to their readiness rather than technology, forcing them to use the technology. Similar experience we had with WhatsApp as well. So I think we have to first understand that how ready our customer is. Do a warm handoff in terms of introducing technology into their lives. See, like first, probably what helped us later was enabling technology to our customer support agents to resolve the queries faster, to address more queries rather than forcing it on my retailer's throat. And that's probably helped us. That's one of the biggest failures that we've seen across.
Thanks, Neel, and I can't agree with you more. We are all in that era where, there is a certain FOMO. You are doing something, Ramita is doing something, Mahendra is doing something, and therefore I want to do it. Everyone is doing a decent job, but unfortunately we all fail to recognize what the consumer really needs and is he really ready for it. So thanks, Neel, for sharing your views on that. And on those lines, now since you spoke about IVR failure and you spoke about WhatsApp failure, consumer expectations, if budget wasn't an issue, what is it that you would want to experiment with?
Budget is always an issue though.
Yeah, but
so if budget wasn't an issue, see right now again, the way PayNearby is, our customers are still not ready for technology. We have to understand that 20,000 PIN codes we service, which includes numerous languages, which includes numerous dialects, which includes a lot of different behavior in terms of how they act, how they behave, how they react to the application. It's a very, very different customer base. We deal with people from Mumbai, we deal with people from remote parts of India, Bihar, Rajasthan, everywhere. So how a customer uses my app and what support he requires on my app right in Mumbai is completely different towards what support he requires in a village. And that's the kind of technology we need, wherein it's able to predict what kind of support I require. Like they say, no two peas in a pod is the same. Like for me, a proactive nudge may be a blessing and will help me complete my transaction. But for someone else, the proactive nudge is a nuisance. And the current technology, whichever it is, it could be it has to be one thing. It has to be empathetic. So if I have to say it, the technology I would want is empathetic, progressive, AI, voice bot would probably be the solution for us, which is looking at, which has capability of large language models, which has real-time behavioral analytics available, which has predictive intelligence. This would help understand when a customer requires support. Based on his behaviors, based on his past transactions, based on his complaining technique, should he be calling, should I give a proactive call to him? Should I give him a chatbot option to him? Should I not do anything because he knows that this is a transaction which fails often because of whatever may be the reason, and I should just hold off because he knows how to figure it out based on his previous interactions, previous failed transactions. So the bot or the technology that we need to use right now has to be able to learn our customers and then provide support accordingly. It cannot be one size fits all. It cannot be that, okay, I will only do it if you call a voice bot and then you get the support in terms of what you require. But it has to be more proactive. But proactive also with intelligence, proactive with emotion, because it should understand if a retailer requires immediate support because of he deals with large transactions. Suppose a retailer has a huge transaction amount failed, and his past transaction, he calls a contact center every time. Why not give him a proactive option to reach out to us? Why not call him proactively? If that is the intelligence we can show for every retailer, for every customer of ours, that will, give him very, very different experience than what he has right now. It cannot be like, I will give 5 options and let him pick, choose and what. Why not give him based on his behavior, based on his past experience, what he chooses, why not give him that proactively? I think that's probably the best case I can say.
Thank you, Neel. Thank you for sharing your views. Coming to now that tech has evolved and now everyone is talking about agentic AI and Gen AI. So Sunny, if you would want to take this, considering your experience with agentic AI, what customer facing processes do you think can be automated end to end, start to end? What industries can you think about? What processes can you think about that can leverage agentic AI in an end-to-end form?
So I think if we were to talk about agentic AI end to end, I mean, although we are doing it in a critical industry like healthcare, but still for starters, people who want to start and adopt agentic AI, I would say the standard FAQ boards, right? Like as simple as it gets, like identify the top 10 queries. I was just discussing in the panel upstairs. Identify, you don't have to be a maverick to implement everything to start with, but I would say identify your top 10 queries, top 20 queries, 80% queries. Have a sustainable knowledge base around that, and be able to have a human in the loop sort of a concept, so that you know that even if there is an upgrade required, you have somebody who's checking it. So standard FAQ bots, I would say, is the easiest way to have a full end-to-end agentic concept. Although it does not leverage the power of agentic AI to its fullest, but I think if somebody who's risk averse, for somebody to try out an end-to-end agentic AI function for the organization, I think that is the best way to move forward.
Do you think there could be any other transactional use cases where you could deploy agentic AI,
Sure.
optimize output?
So for example, now we have one of our NBFC customers where it's very simple use cases, please share my statement on email. So now that's a very non-critical / non-financial dependent sort of a user journey. So that is also again, like I said, right? Like and they used to get a large volume of calls just for asking for statements. So we automated the entire statement journey for them, and they saw good reduction in standard queries, and then we leverage agentic AI, which was again not attacking, like even if they got the statement which is not like little delayed, it's not killing anybody. So fairly that's what we think.
Great. Thanks, Sunny. Mahendra, would you like to take the same question, considering your experience and expertise? What processes can you think about which can be automated end-to-end independently using agentic AI? What would your approach be, and how would you want to go about it?
I think in a bank, there are multiple use cases. Customer support, big time, the typical queries which in the past we have used IVR, then the mobile app. I think agentic AI is something that can definitely work and support, and I think pretty much every bank in India is doing a pilot or have deployed in production, depending upon the top use cases, because there is no point deploying an agentic AI which is only for those use cases, which is just 1 or 2% of your volume, right? That will not make a commercial sense. That's one. The second piece which we are also piloting and we see a strong use case within a banking financial industry is a reconciliation. There's a huge amount of manpower which goes into manual reconciliation. That's an RBI mandate, and we have to do that every day, every week, every month. I think agentic AI can do it. And the way we are looking at it, traditional RPA players used to do it, but they were not able to do it in a fashion which is an end-to-end journey. They will say, okay, you have this 10-step process, we'll be able to do 3-step. We can't do the 5th step or the 7th step. I think with multi-agents and creating an AI, agentic AI farm, that's what we are doing a pilot, where we are able to do a reconciliation which is a three-way reconciliation, which is using multiple different systems, a core banking, a credit card management system, or a debit card management system, pulling that data, doing the recon as expected by the regulator, and able to have an AI validator on the reconciliation, and then moving into a human bucket, because we always want to have that human in loop approach. We don't want a regulatory fine coming on us. So I think that's where I see huge amount of potential, where you don't need human to do reconciliation anymore. I also know there are a lot of financial institutions which are doing, so how our credit cards get approved or a loan gets approved? There is something called BRE, Business Rule Engine. I think real-time updation on that engine basis the transactions which are flowing or the applications which are coming, and basis the data which the customer has submitted to either get a loan or an application for a card. I think there's a lot of synergy and a lot of opportunity for agentic AI to do it, because today it's more rule driven, that there are some 10 rules defined by the risk team. If you fit into that rule, you pass. You don't fit into that rule, you fail. But I think with agentic AI, it will be more dynamic in nature, and I think it's going to only help both the customer and the brand.
Great. Thanks, Mahendra. So, having heard Mahendra's views about independent end-to-end journey through agentic AI, Sunny, since you are associated with Chat 360, which is into building agentic AI bots, what kind of different pilots are you running? If you could throw light on the scope, the industry scope, or the kind of various scopes that we can envisage using agentic AI.
Yeah, so I think there's a very interesting project we are doing now with, I can name them, Lalpath Labs, where we are automating the end-to-end customer journey, right? Or the patient journey, as you call it, where right from discovering their centers on any channel, and this is truly omni-channel, because I'm very happy that very few people actually understand the difference between omni-channel and multi-channel. This saves the context of the information of the customer on the channel in which it's interacting. And if I'm an end patient, I can book my appointment, I can upload my prescription, I have an OCR that reads the prescription basis certain previous prescriptions that I have uploaded. So imagine, like, you know, like prescription handwriting being read by an AI agent is next to, you know, it's extremely hard. So how we are doing it is we have a repository of maybe 1 lakh plus prescriptions, same doctor, similar medicines, etc. And we're able to extract values out of it and thereby get the nearest matches to be able to determine whether the guy has fever, whether he's been recommended crocin, etc., and particularly then recommend the test which is most appropriate. Like they have packages, so then recommend to them the most appropriate package. It could be a full body checkup, it could be a a heart checkup or a CBC or whatever. So this end-to-end agentic flow, and again the system is relearning on its own, right? Where we have a system of agents that are orchestrated between themselves, and the end consumer is then being able to query them on WhatsApp or web or even voice, right? So that is where we are able to truly bring in that efficiency to be able to generate medical good outcomes for the organization. So that's one project that is definitely going to fly very high. Another one we are doing it is for this large automotive brand, where it's a very interesting use case where they are technicians or mechanics. Like they have probably like 1 lakh plus technicians across India in their garages. And suppose he's not able to fix a particular problem in a bike or particular engine issue or whatever issue, it is able to record the noise of the bike, what it is throwing, or take a photo of that particular part, what he's not able to open, and again upload it onto the bot. And the bot will come up with recommended answers that, okay, this sounds like there's a overheating issue, or this sounds like there is a, this requires an engine overhaul or whatever, right? So that's a very interesting use case which will basically improve the productivity of technicians across the country. And it will basically make the technician, function 5x better than what he was doing before. And also identify, the kind of analytics that we're building around that is we can identify who's asking what and what are the top queries, and then going back to the warranty manual and also improving the warranty manual, right? So, or the training manual. So it's a 360-degree process. Like, so I heard about some people talking about expectation failures and tech failures and all those things. I think it's a 360-degree thing, right? I mean, it's also adoption. It's also, the expectation setting. And it's also training the people on the ground who are using it. If that guy, technician, no matter what everybody does, if that technician is not able to use the product to his benefit, everything planned in the boardroom goes for a toss. So what is extremely important, I think, is in that pilot that we're doing right now, is the technician and the entire process around that. There's another financial institution that we're working with. We're doing, in fact, this is live already. We've done an end-to-end lending on WhatsApp. Right from person entering his basic information, we have an Aadhaar, Aadhaar integrated, PAN integrated, all the typical stacks integrated on the back end. And again, the person uploads his Aadhaar card. And again, if there's a fraud check mechanism as well. So there is a check whether your name is say ABC and the Aadhaar reads ABX. It will flag it out, and many such fraud checks. And then if it's successful beyond a particular threshold, it is able to successfully complete the end-to-end lending transactions. So that's again happening through WhatsApp and agentic AI successfully. So we have healthcare, we have automotive, and we have financial services. Yes.
Amazing conversation. In the interest of time, one last question that I would like to ask Ramita, because more, once again, I keep on repeating, it's an evolved industry that you come from. And in your industry, there would be a lot of escalations or complaints that you get where consumers demand, right? And of course, the nature of customer service requires us to do some kind of service recovery. So what are those use cases, or what level of independence would you like to give agentic AI when it comes to, or if it has to come to escalation management or service recovery?
Sure. So coming back to the airline industry, I think service recovery options are plenty. And every customer, and we were just having a conversation previously about consumer and a customer, right? Someone who's paid for his service, their ask really goes up. So currently what we are working on is a good amount of deflection, which goes as high as about 40% deflection with agentic AI coming in. And that would mean if you booked a seat and the seat was not available, I can cater to that through agentic AI, and I don't necessarily need a human to handle that, right? So similar to that, there would be enough and more use cases that would be there where an auto refund process for a cancellation, all of that comes in. So in an airline industry, you would find also, because it sticks through a very strict DGCA regulation and requirements, it's very well defined, and those use cases surely are something that we are looking forward to be able to push through and be able to bring in the quality and efficiency. And I'm going to bring in the concept of quality because most times AI solutions are seen as efficiency building only. What it also does is really takes the quality of responses or your resolution to another level. So we're really looking at being able to bringing that consistency in the business through that.
So yes, it's a very amazing conversation that we had on various aspects, and the big takeaway from this panel discussion that I think is, as industries evolve, we are moving digital now moving to agentic and Gen AI, but still there are small wins that matter. Small, like Ram rightly mentioned, there are so many things which are lying in front of us that need to be corrected, and those small corrections can bring us big wins. It's also about, like Mahendra said, about setting right expectations with stakeholders, internal and external. And like Sunny said about having the right kind of training to the stakeholders so that your tech delivers the right expectation. And since we are moving, I keep on repeating the same thing, we are moving digital, now moving towards agentic and Gen AI. And all of this we are doing to deliver that wow factor to our consumer, whichever industry we cater to. And all of that is dependent on tech, and tech is dependent on data, how closely you study your data, how closely you plug the gaps, determine your failure points and build journeys around the failure points to deliver that wow experience. So that's the big takeaway that we have from this discussion. I would like to thank all the speakers here and once again to Quantic Media to give us this opportunity of sharing our views across the forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for our panelists? Because we have time, so we could take 2 questions. Anybody? Yes.
Hi all. So I've worked with various companies, iPro, Bajaj, Canara, HSBC, now with Edelweiss Life, and I agree with Neel, budget is always a constraint. So whatever development we would want, we would not be able to do it because of budget constraint. Having said that, whatever examples also I've heard from most of you was like having an inside approach to any of the problems that we've seen, or giving a solution of being mostly it is reactive in nature. How do we ensure that any development, enhancements, or whatever we do is more proactive in nature? That is one. And I agree with tech, data, and then Gen AI will obviously reduce the dependency on manpower and increase the efficiency, as ma'am said. But how do we proactively act on any of these scenarios? That's a simple thing.
I think in this world of technology, right, when we talk about proactiveness, it is about doing it right for the customer. And when you see something going wrong, it is important that you go back and tell the customer that this is wrong and we've done this for you. For example, let's say you have a lot of bot services, which does a lot of reconciliation, like what you said, and you identified that there are some charges that were incorrectly levied on a customer. How do you proactively go back and reverse it and tell the customer that this amount has been incorrectly debited? That's where you bring in your bot journeys as well, so that you do it right for the customer. And I think that's proactive service, I would kind of call it. And that's where you deploy your bots as well, or your, we call it agentic or generative or whatever it is, ultimately doing it right for the customer. And then you're doing it proactively. And that brings in the wow experience.
I'll chime into that. So most often we correct the situation, right? And most often we do not do corrective action, which is really go through the process and understand where was the failure points. Unless we do that as process improvement, I don't think we'll ever get proactive. You will always be in a correction mode. So that's one way to look at it. The second way, and I don't know how many of us have tried customer effort assessment. If you've not tried, that is the approach to take. And why do I say that? Because most often, it's the outcome that gets measured. Unless your input is really fixed, your output is going, input garbage, output is what's going to be garbage, right? So fix the input. If you manage to do that well, the output is going to be right. And if you've not tried customer effort assessment as yet, go back and do that, because it will give you a proactive approach for the next 2 years. It's going to keep you busy and your team for 2 years. I can assure you that much.
Yes, we have one more question. Last question, yes, we can take.
So hi, Ramita. How do you spoke of customer effort and how we must make it more convenient for him to do business with us. How do we really measure customer effort or assess customer effort?
So it's a neuroscience way of doing it. You can do it through surveys. You can get customer involved in multiple journey of yours. But there is a very clear methodology that's there. And it's a neuroscience-based methodology, which actually reads what's the effort someone is putting through while, for example, if I'm picking up this bottle, I'm physically going to move towards it and pick it up. So it's a physical effort that I'm putting in, right? So every part of how your customer interacts with your brand or that leg of the journey gets measured very, very specifically. And the 3 outputs that you will get from this study is customer effort on cognitive, physical, and time-based. So these 3 inputs will tell you what's the pain point for a customer. And I'll cite you an example. So let's look at refund process. Probably all of us here has in some way or the other in an Amazon or a bank looked at a refund coming through. What happens with a refund process? Can you tell me what kind of effort it would be? So you connect with Amazon. I'm sure everyone's ordered at Amazon. So you're looking for a refund to come through. So let's go on the app. Now I'm going to search through where do I go to get this refund process, right? And when I'm going through the app to locate that, it's the cognitive effort. I'm trying to constantly look through to see where exactly do I need to go and now assess for refund. Now, when I'm doing that, off late you will say, see, upload a picture, and that'll have 2 to 3 more steps. So that's going to make me physically take pictures of the product that I've picked up and then upload it. Then I've sent it across to, this is on the app, so it's immediately gone to Amazon. It will take about 10, 15 days to a week's time. That's time-based efforts. And what's happening through that period? If it's a product which is super important for me, I'm constantly worried, is it going to come on? So let's assume I was shopping for Diwali, so I'm going to worry, will it come before Diwali? Is it going to come after Diwali? Will I be able to meet the requirements that I had set out for? Cognitive efforts. So when you look at these 3 pain points for the customer, then you know how to make this entire process of refund super simple. How do you proactively tell your customer that it is going to take 2 business days? And let's look at brands who say 2 business days and manage to give it in 1 day. That's the wow factor. So you build through all of that journey. And that's how you go about it.
All right, thank you so much.